All right, welcome back to BHAW Radio. I am here with Coach Kevin Ward, live on location at Glazed Over Donuts in Beacon, New York, bringing you episode 5 of BHAW Radio. Today we're going to talk to Kevin and dive into a little bit of the incoming recruiting class of 2024. Kevin, how you doing?
We're good. I couldn't be much better. I went with the maple bacon with maple syrup glaze. BHAW really took the cake or the pie or the ice cream.
All of the above?
All of the above in a cup. You're going to hear some interruptions from my 5-year-old Holt on the other side of the camera, who's enjoying some sprinkles right now and is 100% guaranteed to chime in at some point in this conversation. But yeah, man, let's talk the Army Wrestling Class of 2024.
Yeah. So for all the listeners, this is it's Sunday morning, day after graduation. So congratulations to the class of 2020, and appreciate everything you guys did. The graduation ceremony yesterday was awesome, and so Kevin, first I want to dive into the prepster class. We don't hear a lot about the prepsters, coming through as they're in the prep school. So talk us through, some of those recruits that are coming into the class of 24, and what you're excited about.
So it's a small class coming from the prep school this year, but we had to do some roster management with the size of our team was getting really big. It's a good thing. So you can imagine we graduated 12 seniors yesterday. And, if it wasn't for an accident, it would have been 13 graduating, walking across the stage. So when you have classes that big, your roster gets big. So we had to dial it down. So we have a smaller prep school class that's coming into the academy. But really good, packed with quality at the same time. We've got 5 that are coming in. I'll kind of go through each of them and let you know what we think. Mark Montgomery from Roselle Park, New Jersey, so right down the road from us. Finished 3rd in the state of New Jersey as a senior. Placed the NHSCA High School All-American and had a really nice season last year, placing in multiple tournaments. He's going to be a 33-pounder. I know what we love about Mark is he thinks he's number 1 on the depth chart right now, so he thinks he's going to start. That's in his head right now. He's like, I'm the man at 133. So we love his confidence, and he's really good. He's good enough to back it up. So there's going to be competition, no doubt, but he's good. He's confident. He's a tough kid.
That's what you need coming in, I feel like.
Right?
If you believe that, that's half the battle right there.
So we don't want our guys saying, oh, I'm going to come here and I'm going to learn for a couple of years and then break the lineup. We want them saying, I'm the man. Right away, I'm going to be the man. Mark's got that attitude, so pumped to see him. And obviously, 133, we didn't qualify a guy for the NCAA tournament last year, so we got to do better. We were close, but that doesn't count. So we haven't qualified anybody at 133 in a couple of years. We got to change that.
Yeah,
he's got the attitude to change it, so we like that. It's going to be fun to watch Mark compete.
It's great how that's become the minimum standard. That it's expected that if you are not qualifying for the NCAA tournament, you're below the standard and below what the average is at West Point. For a long time when I was there, that wasn't the standard, and that was almost considered like the pinnacle. Everybody wants to be an All-American and win a national championship and all that, but when you think about it realistically, that wasn't what a lot of starters goals were when they won that match to go to NCAAs. That's what they remember.
Yeah.
Things like that. That's changed a lot.
Well, it's a big deal. And we have a goal every year, sending 10 to the NCAA tournament. And that is a big deal. You got to be in it to win it. You're not going to win the NCAA tournament sitting at home watching it on ESPN. So that's got to be a goal, is to get there. And then, that's not the ultimate goal, but that's a team goal of ours, 10 NCAA qualifiers. We haven't done it yet. I thought that last year's team was the one to do it. Next year's team is going to have the work cut out for them to be able to do it. So
yeah, I remember some of the discussions on the alumni group on Facebook. We'd be going through the different matchups. Dan Cicerelli and Sean Hutchinson going back and forth with EIWA predictions. And I'm going top to bottom. I'm like, it's not far fetched that we get 10 qualifiers.
Yeah.
It's winning one match that maybe you aren't supposed to, and not necessarily that aren't supposed to. That it's just a toss-up match.
That's right. And we didn't win enough of them. We this past year, 7 qualifiers was great. It could have been 8, 9, 10 pretty easy. So So yeah, we've got some work to do, obviously. And and PJ Ogunsanya last year not getting in was, and not even being an alternate is pretty ridiculous. There's some flaws in the system, but you can't tell. No one in the country would believe he's not one of the top 33. So for him not to get a bid was, at least as an alternate, was silliness. But that wouldn't have made it 10. That would have made it 8. So yeah, we have work to do.
So who else are you excited about?
I'm excited.
From this
I'm gonna run through the next 4 guys that are coming from prep because they're all really good. Tanner Craig, he's from Washington, couple-time state champ out of the state of Washington. He's going to wrestle 149. He's an absolute freaking workhorse. He's like a little Lane Peters, like a Lane Peters or a Cole Wyman for the guys that are familiar with the guys on our team right now. Like absolute. I don't know how many matches that he was down by 7 or 8 points after the first period, and he'll either pin the guy or major him. That's how he wins. He's got a couple of things he does really well. But what he does better than anything else is he wrestles so incredibly hard. He's just got to stop giving up so many points early on. If he'll stop giving up a big lead, he's got a chance to beat anybody. So we're pumped about him because he works and he wrestles so hard. So he's the type of guy, like in practice, you don't have to make him work hard in practice because he's going to wrestle really hard in competition. Like he's going to wrestle his way into shape. He will always be in shape. He will wrestle his way into shape. So he's got a really good dump, put people on their back, and he will take them down and cut them immediately right on their neck. Like he's going to be fun to watch. He's a pain. Nobody wants to wrestle him. Nobody wants to wrestle him in practice. So for those reasons, he's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Ben Pazook is coming from Carrollton, Ohio, by way of the prep school. State champ, smashed everybody. Senior national NHSCA champ, smashed everyone in that bracket. Last year was kind of injury prone just a little bit, dealt with a couple things, but wrestled 174. He'll be at 174 next year, which obviously we graduated Ben Harvey, who you're not going to replace. Like, nobody's going to step in and beat Ben Harvey day one, but the good news is they don't have to. Like, if Ben Pazook, if he wants to compete for the spot, him, Brad Laughlin, Mason Smith, maybe a few others, they got to step in and be themselves. And like this, I'm not trying to be Ben Harvey. I'm trying to be, myself and take that spot. But all 3 of those guys, and definitely Ben is capable of coming in as a freshman and competing right away.
That's awesome.
So we'll see. He is incredibly strong, so everybody that's wrestled with him said this kid is like crazy strong. So we know that he's mean on top. He's just all around really good. So we're excited for Pazook. We got Oscar. No, not Oscar. Oscar is a twin brother that we didn't get. We recruited Oscar and Julian Sanchez both. We didn't get Oscar. We got Julian. I'm glad we did. So Julian Sanchez from Genoa, Ohio, state champ, Super 32 placer. He'll wrestle 141 next year. And he was the same. Like, he was off the mat a lot this year with a couple things. But man, when he's wrestling, he is freaking good. Like, really good. We knew he was really good in high school. But then able to watch him last year and watch him through the RTC this year, we're like, all right, this kid is really, really good. The way he hand fights, he can move his hands, attack both sides of the body. He's a silent assassin. He's not gonna say much. Like me talking about him now is probably more than he has talked to me in the past year. He's the strong, silent type. But man, he is really, really good. So that'll be fun to watch. And 141 is one of those ways. We didn't qualify anybody.
Yeah. After
Corey qualifying the year before, and is Corey one of the top 33 in the country this year? Absolutely. He got hurt at the wrong times, and his season just didn't add up. But Julian also, he should be one of the top 33 on day one next year, and can compete to be better than that. So it'll be exciting to watch those guys kind of push and wrestle against each other. It'll be good. It'll be fun to watch because Julian's really good.
Awesome. I'm getting pumped up just hearing about it. It sounds like
I'm ready to get to practice.
A really good class coming in. And you don't hear a lot about the prep series, so when you hear, wow, this guy coming in, like it's these guys are hammers.
Well, I'll tell you one more you haven't heard of, River Simon, because like the other 2 we just mentioned, River had even worse. Like he was out all season, so River didn't get to wrestle at all at the prep school last year. So you got to go back to high school to see his last round of credentials. He's a 2-time state champ from Vian, Oklahoma. He was class valedictorian. He was a starting quarterback and middle linebacker on their state championship football team. OW at the state tournament. Like absolute Mr. America, like Captain America.
How big is he?
He'll be an 84-pounder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He's built kind of like you. Like he's on the shorter side, but the dude is jacked. Like jacked.
And I call myself a 74.
Yeah. Well, he's an 84. He is thick, and he was a hell of a football player. Like they wanted him to try to play football at the prep school. After he had committed to us, like a football coach stopped by on his visit in Oklahoma and was mentioning to him about, hey, maybe you want to try to do both, next year, something along those lines. But River he was dead set on wrestling. So he's just a heck of an athlete. So he didn't get a chance to prove it last year. We're excited to watch him next year and see him he's finally healthy. He's going to be ready to roll on our day. So we're excited to see him. And that's a weight class that we had Noah Stewart there. You're not going to replace him right away either. What an absolute freaking animal. So it'll be fun to see who steps up and takes that spot. River's got every opportunity to do it.
Yeah,
so those are the 5 that are coming from the prep school. It's a small class, but like super high quality.
So, talk to me as a class. Like, are they super close? How is their dynamic? Coming in, as freshmen. Taking the rest of the plebes coming into B's. How do you anticipate that? Have you had any conversations about the class itself?
They seem like what we would expect. Yeah, you would expect those guys to be really close. You would expect them to be a family like our program's supposed to be, and they seem to be on track for it. So you never know until they're actually in it. But it's 5 of them. They're really close. They've been really attentive in like our off-season meetings that we've been doing. They've had a fantastic coach there with them, which I can't really get into that because of the recruiting rules. But the coaching situation is awesome. And they're developing, so we're really pumped for it.
Awesome. Well, that really knocks it out for the prep school guys. I'm a prep school myself, so I'm partial to that USMAPS world. So I want to dive into that a little bit. Now let's talk about the rest of the recruiting class, guys coming straight from high school.
Well, we got about twice as many coming straight out of high school than we do of kids that are coming in out of the prep school. So there's a little bit. We'll cover a few more names, and I can talk about them and kind of where we see them. We don't know them as well because they haven't been at the prep school. But, we know them from the expectations are high just because we know what they've been doing through high school.
Do you have a relationship with a lot of those guys, or do they mainly work with, they've worked with Ned a little bit more?
That's
kind
right.
of recruiting process, or how's
it's
that
different. Some coaches, the way we recruit on staff, we all recruit, but there's usually one lead per recruit. So some of them I know a lot more than the other coaches, and some of the kids, the other coaches know a lot more than I do. So.
Talking about you guys, how you recruit now this incoming class coming in. Now let's talk through some of the studs coming in who you're excited about.
Pumped. I'm going to start running through in no particular order. I was just running through our group me earlier and wrote the names down, so they might be in alphabetical order by first name, actually. But Clay Filden from Indiana, a couple times state runner-up in Indiana, nationally ranked guy, 170 pounds. Indiana's a one-class state.
Yeah.
And even just to get to the state tournament is pretty brutal. We've had kids on our team, so 2 of our qualifiers from last year, Indiana kids, McCormick and Harvey. Neither one of them state champions, both of them ranked in the top 20 in the country, probably top 15.
Those state finals in Indiana, I think Ben Harvey lost to Dylan Leidy.
That's right. In overtime. Yeah, and then cleaned him up at the NCAA tournament the next year. I think he majored him first round of the tournament.
Really?
I mean, it looked like Ben had been waiting on that rematch for about 4 years. I mean, Ben beat him up. The guy could not wait to get off the mat. But yeah, it's a heck of a tough state. And Clayton's a really smart kid. Like he's exactly what we want. He's a heck of a good wrestler too. So we're pumped about him, and it's an area that we need. So, watching him and the others battle to take over those spots where kids have graduated from is that's going to be fun battles to see take place in the room.
Awesome.
So we're pumped about Clayton. He was, we kind of got him through. He had a little bit of an injury, so his admissions process was drug out just a little bit. And I'll never forget, I think it was at the EIWA tournament, I called him to say, hey man, everything finally went through, you're good. And I could hear him almost jumping and, through the roof through the phone. So I know he's super pumped to be here, and we're pumped to have him too. So another upper weight's Danny Lawrence. So Danny is from state of Pennsylvania, finished third this year at 195 in Pennsylvania. Had a heck of a season. I think he only dropped 2 matches on the season. And Danny was like super persistent in his recruiting. I want to be at West Point. We didn't really know much about him. I want to be at West Point. Keep sending updates. Keep sending emails. And the more updates we got, I'm like, the kid still hasn't lost. Like, we gotta look into him. So I'm telling the other coaches, what do we know about this kid? Well, we don't know much. It's not a powerhouse program that he's from. We don't know a whole lot. But I was like, well, every update I get, he keeps going more and more undefeated.
Was he a state qualifier his junior year or anything?
I think
like
so.
that, or?
Yeah, state qualifier, and he had a goal to place this year, but he could, like he wasn't good enough. Obviously, if you place third, you're good enough to win it.
Oh yeah.
Things just didn't go his way. But for his, he was so persistent and kept letting us know that West Point's where I want to be and what do I need to do to get in and be recruited. It ended up, makes us look really smart that we get him because he ends up, placing third in a really tough bracket. He might be an 84-pounder. Like, he was wrestling 195, weighing about 190.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so he might be an 84-pounder. So that'll be fun to kind of see how that plays out.
I think that's also a testament to the recruiting process a little bit. For if there's any parents out there, potential recruits, the more you put yourself out there, if he's from Pennsylvania, but if you're from a smaller state and you maybe aren't fortunate enough to go to some national tournaments, you're not going to get recognized. But the more you can communicate to the staff, and you guys, that's how you get yourself recognized a little bit. It's just persistence on trying to get here.
Unless you're one of the top 10 or 20 guys in the country, you can't count on people knowing who you are. Like, it's just like, you're in cells, and if you don't go ask, you're never going to find out, right? So it's the same thing with kids. Like, I tell parents all the time, like, if you want us to know about you, make sure we know about you.
Yeah.
Don't count on me finding your name in a bracket somewhere. If you want us to know about you, then make sure that we do. Yeah, that's right. Yep. Another Pennsylvania kid, Dylan Sheehy. Dylan is going to be either maybe 57, 65. He's like a Russ Parsons, where he could be 57, maybe 65. He's short and extremely strong and powerful. He's got a high crotch like Russ Parsons used to have too.
Yeah, he's from my neck of the woods, up down
Council Rock.
Yeah,
north, I think.
Yeah, it's the club I grew up in.
Okay.
Growing up.
Yeah. So Dylan's got this. I mean, he gets his hand on your neck. If he hits a high crotch, he's like he's trying to stop a moving train. Like, he is so incredibly powerful, and he's super smart and like driven to learn. So he can step in and compete to be a guy, like early on in his career. He's going to give people fits because of just how physically imposing he is. He is really strong. He's not the tallest, so he's going to have to get used to wrestling longer people. Like, when he steps in and wrestles Marcus, that'll be interesting. Because Marcus is long and uses his leverage really well. Dylan's short and powerful, and he hits a high crotch, and so that'll be some interesting battles to see. But we're pumped about him. I mean, it's a freaking awesome class. So we go through all these guys. Joe Metz from Georgia, state champ this year at 160, and 165 is a weight we need to address. Everybody we talk to about Joe Metz says the same thing. Like, there's no reason he shouldn't have been more than a one-time state champ. Things didn't go his way the years prior, but incredibly hard worker, really smart, wanted to be at the academy. So we're pumped about him. So he broke through this year, won his state tournament, and super, like, he's the guy that's calling you every day, like, what can I do for my workout today? What can I do today? And finally, Coach Shuck's like, well, we're not allowed to, like, coach you yet. It's against the rules, but here's a workout people have been doing, and he does it that day. Like, he's super eager and wants to go the workouts, and then when you tell him, we're trying to get 4 miles and 9 minutes on an assault bike, he tries it that day. So it's like, yeah, it's a brutal workout.
What other way is there, though,
Right, yeah. Just dive right in. You got to do it. So we're pumped. Matt Williams is a lightweight, probably end up being a 41-pounder from Ohio. Did not get to finish his season. He was ranked in the top 3 in his bracket in Ohio, which is a really tough weight they had this year, like nationally ranked guys. So we didn't get to see him finish his high school career, but obviously we like him enough to have him as a recruited wrestler. So, and again, we've got to compete better at 141. So he's going to come in, and weight class is wide open. Come make it your own, young stud. So he's got every opportunity to do it. So we're pumped for Matthew there. Nate Lucas, I'm going to keep moving on. And we can go back and answer any questions. But Nate Lucas is a Pennsylvania kid who reminds us, he is like, we mentioned earlier, Tanner Craig. Nate Lucas is like a Lane Peters and a Cole Wyman. absolute workhorse, been right on the cusp of breaking through at the state and national levels. Like we watched him wrestle last year at NHSCA and Super 32, I think, in the fall. And he's right there with everybody. You just got to make some technical adjustments. Like he will always be in shape. He'll always be pushing. He's gonna be a 49 or 57. Super smart, hard nosed. Like he's a young guns kid. And so to Nate's credit, I've never had as many coaches, different coaches, email me about a kid as I did Nate that aren't his coach. So Fretwell emailed me about him, said, hey, I just got done doing a camp in Pennsylvania. I don't know, this kid said he wants to go to West Point. I don't know much more about him, but you need to look at him because he got an extra workout in every day. Like he was the first one in there, asked if he could help clean up the gym every day, and then got an extra workout in. Like just, you know, a unique kid that's got everything, like his values in order.
That's what you need. When you can fall in love with the sport. Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties right there for a second, but yeah, I think if you can find some kids who fall in love with the sport, you know, if they're maybe not there technically wise, and they're going to put that extra time in because they love it, they're going to grow, and that's what they're going to become, you know, in college.
We're going to have to kick him out of the room. Like he's going to be that guy, you know, that we've got to get out of the room. Speaking of getting out of the room, this is off topic, but here's a story Luke Weiland told me last night after graduation. So David Russell is one of our guys that graduated. As David was a walk-on, and as he says it, he was forced to take a redshirt year, his junior year. You know, did some things that weren't reflective of the way we want to act. He took complete ownership of it, was forced to take a redshirt. So he wasn't on the team, but Luke's like, now that we've graduated, I want to tell you, he was like, that year that he wasn't on the team, whenever I couldn't find a drill partner, like 8:30 at night, I needed to get a workout in. Dave Russell was like, yeah, I'll come in with you. So, talk about kicking guys out of the room. I mean, what a good story. You know, Luke needed somebody to work out with. And David Russell, who got kicked off the team, or was forced to take a red shirt for a year, was like, yeah, I'm your guy. I'll do it. And then he walks not across the stage yesterday because of the way they did graduation, but he graduates as an Army wrestler because of that attitude. So sick. You know, Nate's like one of those guys. Like, we're gonna have to kick him out of the room.
That's what the brotherhood's all about.
He's a mat rat, isn't it? Yeah, it's awesome, man. That story, like, we all want to tell stories about everybody that wins everything, but that's like that's the story.
Yeah.
Here's a guy that wanted to be on the team so bad, he came in and worked out with the team captain. Yeah, that's good. I'll keep going, though. Another Jersey kid, Tyler Morris. From Jersey, went to a private school, I believe in New Hampshire, Phillips Exeter Academy, like really elite level academic school. Like when you graduate from there, you're going to academy, or you're going Ivy, or you're going to top school. And he crushed it there, whip smart, couple-time national prep placer. Had a really nice win at national preps this year, beat a nationally ranked guy, like one of the highest nationally ranked guys, somebody that we had recruited and then decided to go somewhere else. And then to watch Tyler beat him at national preps this year was pretty cool.
It's gotta feel good.
He's a scrambly guy, and like he'll slap a cradle on from anywhere. He's kind of lanky and a little bit goofy in the way he's hard to wrestle because he can cradle, he can scramble. He's a dangerous wrestler.
Sounds like Marcus a little bit.
He's like, yeah, like in some ways kind of like that. So he didn't have the success that Marcus had at the national level in high school, but there's no reason he can't, at the college level. So no, we're pumped for Tyler. Maybe we recruited him as like maybe be a 25-pounder for life, and now we're thinking, well, he might be 49 next year. So that's how recruiting goes. You just never know until they show up and start doing it. So he may be a 41, 49. We'll find out.
If you got a hole at 97 at some point, maybe he'll grow into
Bump it up, man. Put him on, lifts body by Crip, our strength coach. So, yeah. But we're excited about him. Wild Wilkerson out of Georgia. Preseason All-American this year. Really competitive wrestler. He'll be an 84-pounder out of Georgia, so we're pumped to have him. Another Southern boy in the mix. Raw athlete. His best. He's only been wrestling a few years, so the best is yet to come for him. We got one more incoming kid. And keep in mind, there's a few more kids that will probably be in our room in the early fall that I'm not mentioning, just because of the way they got into the academy, and these are kind of like, there's walk-on opportunities. So I'm covering the people that, the true recruited athletes. And the last one of those that we actually turn in our paperwork on, saying like, they have my stamp here, I want them here.
Yeah.
Thomas Deck from Kentucky. The most under-the-radar recruit in the country. So, couldn't compete at Super 32 earlier in the year, was hurt. But the year before, placed third in HSCA in a really tough bracket. So he placed third.
I feel like the juniors at NHSCAs is like the most competitive, because that's your ticket to college wrestling right there.
Yeah.
In a lot of senses.
Juniors is we like seeing our seniors do well, but the juniors is what we watch.
Yeah.
And he crushed it. He beat some good kids. And he got beat, obviously, in a match because he got third. He didn't win it. But, like, absolute animal. So he comes back this year. He has a minor procedure, like, right before the state tournament this year. Comes back 2 weeks later, hadn't wrestled, hadn't really trained. 2 weeks later, comes back, gets OW at the state tournament.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Where's he from again?
He's from Kentucky. So we don't get a lot of recruits from the state of Kentucky. This is the most under-radar recruit that we got, because the others are pretty well known, but this kid's an absolute stud. So 25, 33, we're not sure. Kind of depends. He may be 41. You never know with these guys once they get in here. But he's creative in his wrestling. He wrestles like really free and loose, like he'll do things you don't teach and that are hard to teach. Crazy strong. You can tell just from watching him. Like his grip must be brutal. He can scramble. He's good on top. He's just all around. Like, we're super excited about him. So that's the list, man. How many is that? We went over like 14, 15 names just then.
Yeah.
But that's the class of 2024.
No,
Can you believe it?
I know, it's a lot. I mean, I think for my class, it had a little bit. We had like probably 17 or 18, and we had more coming from the prep. You mentioned the walk-ons, and having some of those opportunities. Can you talk a little bit about like what the process is? Does it change from year to year?
It changes because of the size of our roster. So, in all candor, because I know everyone watching this is like, they're an Army Wrestling insider, we're waiting to see what happens with college sports. Can we carry a roster of 55? We don't play football, probably not, so our roster may be smaller than it's ever been since I've been here. We may be able to expand it for more opportunity. We just don't know yet. There's a lot of unknowns in the college wrestling world. In the college athletics world, there's a lot of unknowns. But the way it works is usually during Beast, there's something called mass athletics where they get to go wrestle or play whatever sport they want a couple times a week. Anybody's interested, we say start coming in during Beast. It's not an evaluation. We don't put them through workouts, but we're saying if you want to get on the mat, here's a chance. Get on the mat. We watch them, see if they show up. And if they do, then during the fall, once the semester starts, once we start having preseason workouts, we say, come on, you can join the preseason workouts. And then we actually start evaluating them. Yeah. Mass athletics is just to see if they show up. Do they really want to do it? Or do they show up once and then decide ultimate frisbees kind of easier?
They're doing it because it looks cool and they want to get out of, going to those other things. You can hang out. Yeah. There's some rumors about, being on the wrestling team, and then, a couple workouts in or a couple, mass athletics later, and they're not showing up.
Anything seems more fun after a couple of wrestling work. Can I go drill here on the plane for a couple hours? That's a lot more fun, than going through one of these wrestling workouts. But so there's opportunities. Matter of fact, it's Tyler McLeese was a team captain. He was a quote-unquote walk-on. We've had a couple, that, and I'm not sure Chandler Smith was the recruited athlete he should have been, team captain. We've had a lot of respect. Andrew Mendel, like an unrecruited type guy that ends up being just absolute nails and a tremendous leader. We've had a lot of value in those people that, that are made up of what we want, and for whatever reason, late bloomers. So we like to try to give opportunities where we can.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great for anybody, who's maybe under the radar, not recruited, trying to communicate, trying to get in, they get in on their own regard, and, having the opportunity to walk on and wrestle in a Division I room, is a lot to be said of yourself.
That's right. Yeah. So we're pumped to see, I want to be surprised. Somebody show up and surprise me that, make me think like I cannot let this guy get away. Yeah. I'm always excited for them.
That's awesome. Well, Kevin, I appreciate you coming on the show today. Once again, we're live on location at Glazed Over in Beacon, New York. Thanks, Kevin.
I would recommend when you stop by, order one of everything, or just tell them to make you a dozen of the local favorites. You can't go wrong. Appreciate all the listeners dealing with the background noise today and the distractions that come along with bringing your kid to the BHAW Radio podcast. It's good, man. I want to keep these up. we'll leave everybody with this. It's like we're the day after graduation, we're talking about the future. Those guys that graduated, they're our legacy. They're the most important thing that we do. And then, just right there with it is shaping the next group, to go out and do the same thing. So we watched the class of 2020 graduate, and we're talking about the class of 2024. And talking about either way, I get fired up. Either way, it's a special place, special guys. So we're pumped for the future of our program.
Thanks. Have a good one. BHAW. Be Navy.
Cool.
Thanks for tuning in to the BHAW Radio Show. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe and leave us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast platform. If there's something you'd like to hear on a future show, reach out to us on any of our social media, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Or you can reach us at email, bhaw.radio@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and as always, go Army, be Navy.